Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Under Construction. Oh, I forgot the music. Hold on one second. It's funny, I was just reading a comment about it. This is Under Construction. This is episode number... it should be episode number 31. Hold on. Train Fever soundtrack. I get it off YouTube. So, I'm able to shuffle it. Guy by the username... Oh, that's too loud. Guy by the username of Freak Pants posted all the songs up. There we go. Make it nice and quiet. And so I've been utilizing that. Anyways, I can get to the comments in a minute, but let me tell you where we are. Let me show you where we are. So I've built the rails up to this point. Now, the biggest problem with that is I'm missing a bridge, one, and two, this hill here is far too steep, and I need to lower it by a not insignificant amount, because this hump right here gets up to about 1.6%. You can't see it here, but it exists. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this spline point by probably, let's just lower it to 13.8, which should put it decently far underground, but shouldn't necessarily be a problem. At least that'll be flatter. You know, it doesn't look that much worse. And that should get rid of the issues that we were having with that. Because I've been driving up and down the route with guess what came out today. This makes me so happy. So we have the B&M P4, otherwise known affectionately as the Mega Pacific, or the Constitution, or in this case, Old North Bridge, for that engine in particular. They all have different names. Came with these consists from K&L Trains. Again, came out just today. This is Quasind. I don't know. Native American name. And then we got 3711, which is Allagash, one of my favorites, although they have the V1 with the Skyline casing. They have the V2 with the regular, like, in-service scheme, which is cool. They have the V3 with the red pinstriping. This was its scheme when it went out of service. Very cool. Makes me very excited. And I've been pairing it with the Steamtown coaches that were from 3054. Anyways, we are here. I need to look in my bridge list for a second, because there's this bridge that I want to change from not being a bridge, and then there's this bridge, which I like, but I feel like it could be done a little bit differently. Either way, so this is how far we built. It's about 4 or 5 miles at this point in total, or maybe even 6 in total. Before I get into anything, let me make sure that I'm working on the route layer, because that was an issue last time. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull up... Oh, no. I'm going to pull up the bridge we have here, at least past a certain point. Actually, I've been fiddling with it in the session layer, so I need to get rid of it. But that... Oh, just do it like that. I'm going to have to add some embankments for it, but we've got to build this bridge through the swamp. And I've started working on it in a not insignificant capacity, if you haven't noticed. In the swamp itself, the swamp is probably going to end around here somewhere, so we're about a third of the way through, maybe closer to a half of the way through. But I tried to make it sort of branching out. If you look at it, everything sort of has the one outlet here, although this does wrap together in the bow. No, it doesn't. That's right. You know, you can see it sort of flowing in this direction, although it has that gap there. And then we're going to be breaking into another area like that with this section in between. But meanwhile, I do actually have to make some sections that are higher in elevation, because this bridge does not let me have straightened splines. And that's a slight issue, because what it ends up meaning is that I have to only make the bridge straight lines, and then when I have to turn, I have to put it on an embankment. So that's going to be interesting. Let's line this up a little bit better. I may even have to slow things down or whatever. Boink, there we go, there we go. Alright, so let me attach that and that. And let me get some embankments. So we had these stone, or sorry, no, not embankments, abutments. So we have these stone abutments that can go there and there. And what I'm thinking of doing, let's move them off the end of the bridge. Well, almost. There we go. Alright, so radius, turning the radius down, sensitivity can stay the same. I just want to be able to clear the metal decking so that we don't have the decking embedded in dirt. Also, I need to turn that around. Click. Click. Alright, there we go. So that's fine. And so we're going to have this low bridge that extends as a causeway over most of the swamp. Estuary. Whatever. The line between what's dirt and what's water is going to be fairly blurry when I've actually worked it all out. But we're going to do... Obtain... One track wood. We're going to sort of... We're going to try and be careful with this, because I don't want to make too much of a mess. I want to stay mostly on land when I'm doing curves, and that's kind of a tight curve. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to go straight and then put the curve over here. Let me grab this, because we can have sort of a back and forth on here and then run it down the middle. See, if we could go straight, or we could, in actuality, what we could do is we could actually do this. That way, we would have a more minor curve. Let's grab that, smooth this over to the final track of that, and we'll have to play with that in a minute. But let's... Boink. Boink. Okay. So that's a little bit too tight still. It's better, but it's still too tight. So what we'll do is we'll move this out like that. That's a little bit better. It's still more of a kink, but it's fine. We'll be able to deal with that, and let me just throw an embankment under it for now and call it decent. Yeah, thank goodness for the 5-meter grid. Alright, also we need those abutments. Alright, spin it around. How about this one? Nope, that one's facing the right direction. Alright, good. Good, this is good. So we've got to turn... I don't think I can super elevate these because they're on a bridge, although I may be able to. Hold on, let's see. No, yeah, it doesn't look like it. Let's do it with this end as well and see what happens. Good, but again, I don't think we can do that because we're on a bridge. Actually, is that? Are they super elevated? No, I don't think they are. Let's use our measuring tool to figure that out. Baby. No, I'm pretty sure it's still vertical. You'd be able to tell on a 12-degree. Anyways, we'll leave that as is, and we'll just have to slow down on that section a little bit. There will be a second bridge alongside, so don't worry about that. We're going to keep the 4-track main line here, but I, for now, am just doing 2 because it's easier to take care of. And as for this, so let's go look at our bridges real quick, because I downloaded some more. Nope, wrong button. Get rid of that. Get out of here. Filter. Bridge. I'm looking for a 2-track... No, not that. I'm looking for a 2-track sort of plate girder bridge. Or like this, actually. This is not a bad one to use. And it's pretty much, yeah, it looks, the spacing is good. So I think I'll use this for this particular bridge. I will leave a little gap between the two, because they're not going to be perfectly aligned. Let's break that slightly. Oh, crap. This doesn't have, we need a bridge track. Track. Right. Well. Wait. Oh. What? Why? What? Interesting. Whoops. Why are you like this? Well, test car. I can't play. Oh. I can place stuff on it. So there's that. Well, I don't like it if it's broken. I quite like this bridge. It's very well weathered. But it's broken. Why are the tracks invisible? You might ask. I might ask the same question, because I don't know. Oh, never mind, there are tracks. You know what? I might have deleted them. Nope, never mind. They just disappear when you finish. What? Alright, hold on. Let's just find another version. Deck plate, nope. We could have just thrown this down on top of the other. You know what? Let's try that. It might. No. You know what? That looks. Well. Yeah. Let's try it. Let's try it. This might take a little bit of effort, actually. But F it. That's what it takes. Oops, I missed. You sit there and think, oh, this bridge is pretty long. Okay, nope. Alright, so we'll do it for one bridge first and see how it looks, and then... Did I attach to the bridge, or... I attached to the bridge. Nope. Careful not to accidentally attach it. We need to straighten it as well. Careful. Need to line it up with the ends. I don't think I'll bother with embankments for this one, or abutments for this one, just because it's already wonky. I don't need to make it worse. What? No, attached to that. What the heck? Nope. How about... Nope. How about... There we go. No. Oh, it broke it because... Of course it did. Come on. There we go. There. Okay, so... Oh, we need to finish pulling this all the way out to about there. And then I need to change the vertex height. Ah, there we go. That looks better. I mean, it looks better because it has track as opposed to not having track. It looked kind of bad without it. Oh, whoops, this isn't lined up properly. Come on, right there. Good. Good. Yeah, so we'll leave it like that. Let's do the other one real quick. Looks a little bit awkward, but I'm glad I got to use these bridges, even though they're acting strange. I don't even know what this track is. These bridges look so old because of the track, but they can't be that old. Like, really. Because they're so well weathered. Oh well. That would make them old. No, but they're well done. There's a repeating texture on this, I've just noticed. But the textures are high definition. Like, they may repeat a lot, but they're of high fidelity. Whatever. Is this a built-in asset? It's yellow. It's either built-in or DLS. I can't remember which still. But you know, it's important. I can use it. That's... Damn it! Go to the track. There. Okay. Straighten these two out. Let me grab, because that's the vertex height here, so let's apply this to all of these, all three of them. There we go. And now we can line it up properly. Order of operations. Sorry, sorry if you're taking algebra and that phrase hurts you. Okay, so... Okay. We need to do the same thing on this side with the vertex height, so let's grab that. How long is this span? Okay. So I think that's all set. That bridge is good. As long as it touches bottom, which is something I didn't check, but it does, thankfully. Yeah, the piers almost line up, which is obnoxious, but whatever. I don't think we were gonna make too much of an impact on that. Anyways, back to the estuary, and let's read a comment. Top comment, TBA. TBA Avenger. This inspires me. I'm glad it does. Now that 3713 is out, I expect to see progress on the Dragon's Pass, and if I can inspire you to doing that, then better for me. Alright. Let's do some subtle terrain massaging. I think we're going to put a little break in the estuary here, because we've had a lot of it. Thing is, sensitivity is sometimes not low enough. Just, yeah, everything goes too quickly. This world's moving too fast, I tell you. So let's actually build up this area a little bit. We'll put a section of forest here, maybe. Just when you think the land is coming back. But this is basically going to be an island in the middle of the estuary, in the middle of the area, because we have more estuary to go. The point, though, is just like when we were working on Olive, just like when we were working on Olive, the idea isn't to think through all the scenery and have, you know, a reason for all the scenery. The thing is just to have enough scenery. And then, once you have enough scenery, you're done. Because there doesn't have to be an intricate reason behind everything when you're first putting it together. You can come up with the reasons afterwards. But, you know, when you're up against the wall of, okay, we need this much scenery, then you just need to take what comes to mind, and if it fills space, then it's good. You know, I mean, you don't necessarily want to do the same thing again and again, but A, you gotta do what you gotta do. And B, you know, just changing things up a little bit is normally enough for, you know, for people to not care. Or not notice, at least. Because, think about Olive. I only have so many houses, and there are only a handful of blocks, and I could arrange them in, you know, probably thousands, if not millions, of different ways. Just by virtue of the fact that I have X number of houses and a handful of blocks, and it doesn't really matter, because you're not going to scrutinize each one, and you're not going to say, hey, this house that was used over on the corner of these two streets is also used here half a mile away. How unrealistic. Shame on you. That's not going to happen. The other thing, actually, to riff off of TBA's comment, which, you know, that's kind of what I should be doing, because that's what I should be doing. I should be making use of these comments that I'm receiving, or at least talking about them. Inspiration. Inspiration's a huge part of it, and, you know, you can't necessarily build if you don't have something that you want to see. Like, I looked up estuaries. I'm not sure, you know, necessarily how they all look, or how I can really incorporate the real look of an estuary into this map here. But the idea is that I now have an idea of what they look like, but more importantly, I have inspiration because I'm like, oh, I want to make it look like that, you know. That's the thing, if you ever run out of stuff in Minecraft, if you ever want to run out of stuff to build in Minecraft, you can just Google, like, cool buildings on Google Images, and you'll get image after image after image after image of awesome stuff that you will want to build, or no, you could want to build, not necessarily you will, but stuff that you can utilize. And having that sort of as a feature, or, you know, having access to that kind of stuff is awesome. But it just goes to show, like, you're never going to run out of stuff. If you don't want to build, then you don't want to build, but if you feel like, oh, I don't know what to build, there's the whole world out there. And as well, it's important to A, yeah, want to build, but B, it's important to go out and look at stuff. And I've said this before, but the most you can learn about the way the world looks is by going out and looking at the world. And you don't necessarily have to learn from all outdoors stuff like I was talking about last week with the milk trains, where I hadn't even considered it until I attended the NBW op session, and, you know, the milk trains are so important. But, you know, you go out in the world and you do some research, or you look around even, and you'll see all sorts of really cool stuff that you'll think, you know, oh, I want to emulate that, especially if you're going for something realistic. Then you say, oh, okay, so that's how that looks. And you may even realize some things, if you're not searching for anything specific, you may realize some things that have sort of usage or have... Oh, shucks. That exist, or, you know, have a general theme that you see in a lot of towns that aren't... that you might not have thought of. But yeah, this sort of shape is something that I saw in a lot of real-life estuaries. Except I need to bring the river more this way. Where you have this sort of large pool that's behind a slip-looking thing. I will have to do more with this ocean. Like, I'll have to make it deeper, basically. Which is what I've been trying to do with this. I've just been trying to make it deep enough so you can't see on the map stuff. Like, there is something that's not deep enough. And so if I just sort of move the mouse around there for a minute, it'll disappear. Same thing with right there, but that's okay. Same thing with right there or so. I missed. Unless it's a smudge on my screen or not. Nope, it was real. I also added a few more ocean tiles here, and I'm probably going to add some more. They're simple to do, they're quick. They can be a pain when you can't see under the water to know what's high and what's low, but I think I'm going to cut in and I'm going to cross here instead of down here. So we'll follow this, pretty much. I'll remember that I can't curve on a bridge, basically, because of the way those bridges work. But I think what I need to do, I think I need to narrow this up a little bit. Because this looks a little bit too... It looks a little bit too fat, basically. So I can do that. That looks a little bit better. But we're going to basically smother it with grass. I'm going to smother the whole damn thing with grass. Nope, that's the wrong way. There we go. It's a little bit better. It's still blobby, but that's okay. Because the line is going to be blurred with the textures we're going to use, with the grass we're going to use, etc. So it doesn't really matter that the edges of the water are not necessarily exactly the way they should be. So yeah, I've got to keep it up till over here. What I think I'm going to do, well, that's staying, is I'll put this lake here, which is going to be like a tidal pond looking thing. I'll put this here, which... The one thing that I have to do more of, or that I have to get better of, or get better with, rather, right now, working on Tolbrand, is being gradual. I've been very careful with my tools to not be too swift, necessarily, but I'm still not doing well at having this sort of flat, plateau-y areas. I'm going to play around with this more when we get over to Mason Valley, because I'm going to be running along a riverside, but the area above the riverside is not going to be particularly hilly. It's going to be fairly flat. Which is going to mirror sort of the way that Essex actually looks, because I'm going to be modeling it after the Valley Railroad, where there's, you know, sort of a steep drop down into the river, but once you're above that, things are not steep at all. Things are fairly flat. So... I'll give it a minute and I'll look at another comment. I'm just trying to do some more of this. Yeah, I'm trying to be as careful as possible not to make too many big, not to sit on the same spot for any length of time, really. Because I don't need to have just big round divots everywhere, which it's basically looking like. But yeah, we'll have some bits of forest here. And this is looking like Swiss cheese, and it's something that I have to fix. So, okay, let's look at another comment. Oh, this is a big one. Rail Lord. Wait, when did railroads start super elevating their tracks? I figured it's a newer thing, like, say, around the 1970s. Actually, TBA posted the comment to this, but yeah, it's an old practice. It dates back to, not quite the turn of the century, but, 1930s. He says 1920s. But yeah, think about, the water level route had all super elevated track, or else they would not have been able to run the 20th century and the Lakeshore Unlimited, and the Lakeshore Unlimited, and the Empire State Express is the one I was thinking of, at the speeds that they did. So, it was a fairly significant advancement, but it's not nearly as new as it could be. The thing that really is a game changer that has to do with that and curving is the advancement of tilting passenger trains, which is more of a game changer than super elevation, especially in situations where you can't necessarily put that much super elevation, because you can get effective super elevation due to just the train moving, where you don't have to go through the effort to actually super elevate that curve to that amount, which may be impossible. So here's how I do this. I think I did this last time on camera as well, but I just have to I have to look at it from space, I have to zoom in, I have to do this and that, and then just sort of mouse over areas. And eventually I'll be able to fill it, or sync it all properly. Alright, over here's the last section for this, last major section, but there are still some islands or, submerged bits. I'm trying to make it deep enough so that, A, it shows up as being deep enough, and it doesn't show up as there being any islands there. And as well so that I can run the boats through it if I want to. Okay, so there's that. Let's continue with this comment. 1322, couldn't you use the railroad as the medium? I've seen some places do that, just like one of the videos of ATSF 2926. I know what video you're talking about. I can really put it at a location, though, as it's been a long time since I've seen it. Was that 2926? I thought it was the other one. Either way. That was in response to me talking about questioning where to put the highways. The issue with that right here is that there just isn't enough room for the right-of-way. And that's what I've been talking about. Like, I need to make things more gradual. I need to make things flatter. Because I'm having trouble finding space for the roads in what should be a relatively flat area. And yes, we're on the water side and we're sort of heading up to the hills. We shouldn't necessarily be as close as we are. I just sort of got hill happy. And that's an issue. And more to the point, it's an issue because I'm waving my wand around like this. I'm waving my cursor around like this. And I'm creating these hills that don't need to be there and that end up hindering my ability to put the railroad through. And subsequently the roads through. So I could use the railroad as a medium because I did at least the grading for that, but the issue is the road would be even wider. And also, the reason that comes about, and that's come about in many, many places, where you have the railroad and highway sharing a grade. The reason that happened is because, primarily, you would have the railroad moving out. And so, you would have the railroad, which did a fairly good job of cutting through the landscape, especially through towns. Because towns normally grew up around the railroad and not the other way around. You had these towns that had these large corridors in the middle of them, say 5 or 6 tracks. And there's been this comment that talks about that as well. 5 or 6 tracks that just cut through town without a care in the world. And now, where are we going to put the highway? The railroad's moving, the railroad's leaving, because the highways are in style and passenger revenues are dropping. So let's put, them, let's put the highway on this right-of-way that the railroad's already built for us. We can buy it we can buy it easily because it's not like somebody's living there that wants to fight for it. And it's wide enough, and it's gently graded, and it goes through the most populous areas of town, more than likely. So it's, that's why you had that kind of stuff happen. It didn't happen out here as much. It did happen occasionally, but it didn't happen out here as much. But the brainwave I sort of had after that, which is, okay, well, I guess I'll just put the interstate somewhere else. I think I'm going to stick with that, because the two edges of the peninsula, like, all of, the next town is Bellington, the next town's Gilson City. Along this coastline here, there are not a lot of major towns and cities. If you go down this way, you'll find Jefferson, and that's a pretty big town. It's actually a city. But that interstate sort of goes up and connects with the interstate that runs down to Gilson City, sort of down the length of the peninsula. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing, and the thing that does is it allows me to do most of the interstate off camera, or, off the map, which is good for me. Because as much as cloverleafs are cool, and, that kind of stuff is really cool, I don't want to have to build that. Alright, we should get the rails up to where we are. We've been through the swampiest portion, now we're just in other areas. We're 1.5 tiles away from there. We are going to do all the terrain up to Mason Valley, and then that's going to be it. Why is this stuck? Why is everything stuck? I don't even know what this is. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, so we need to move this up. We need to sort of keep going straight, I think. At least for a little while. And then we need to cross here. Wait, no, we're going to continue going straight. And then, actually, what I think I might do is I might turn again, very subtly, and then turn again to cross here. So let me get the bridge. The thing with this is we're staying completely flat. So basically, I want to get here. Let's move that to the edge so that we have enough. So we have basically as much room as we can get. Yeah, see, there's the issue. Here's my idea for how we're going to handle this. If I can actually grab... No, I can't. Chain, track, one-track wood. Here's my idea for how we're going to handle this. I'm just going to connect these, and then we're going to sort of follow the natural curves. Which means putting a spline point here, and then putting... Oh, no. Yeah, see, these bridges don't respond to that, so we're going to be putting another spline point about here. And we need to apply this. But that's the best curve we can get, because that's all on land. And then I'll need to put a bridge that connects these two. Alright, there we go. So, yeah, I'm gonna stay away from the interstates for a little while. Too many cops. Alright, that is the most subtle turn that we have on the map, probably. It's extremely subtle. There we go. Let's get some abutments up in here. And on this side, it doesn't necessarily matter because it's buried. Not probably good for it to be buried, just from an engineering standpoint. I wish you could tell on the top of which way was forward. You probably can. It's probably just extremely subtle. I doubt the texture is that symmetrical. That it's perfect. That is a little bit tighter of a turn. But whatever, we're in the swamp. I might even build more scenery this way because that's pretty flat. Oh, wrong button. Okay, thank goodness that didn't work because it's a bridge. Thank goodness that did not work. Okay, so we've crossed there. Let me look at this comment one more time. Because there's more. There's more. SoundCloud is an MP3 sharing site where you can directly play MP3s of pretty much anything directly in the browser without need of having to download it. Yes, this includes fanfic readings. Oh, I need to pay this place a visit. I've been to SoundCloud before. But on the subject of the videos being flagged for the music, I've done a quick Google search and it appears that the music is copyrighted by Admiral James T. and Urban Games. Yes, it is. I have no clue what copyright the music is under, though. To back up what I've said here, there is some discussion on the Train Fever website about Admiral James T. starting up his own band. As well, another YouTuber called Freak Pants uploaded a playlist of 22 tracks from the game. Guess what I'm using? I never looked at the guy's username until now, but yes, this is Freak Pants' playlist. If you look up Train Fever soundtrack on YouTube, this is what you'll find. And it's pretty nice that it's there. Oh, crap. But yeah, and it is here. It's nice, it's cool, and for the most part, if you have the game, see, Train Fever and Transport Fever, Urban Games did their best to make them very Let's Play friendly, including, the music in them was made specifically for the game. It was licensed for the game. Admiral James T is a band. They have plenty of other stuff besides the Train and Transport Fever soundtracks, and they were, I assume, presumably, or at least somewhat well known before they did the soundtrack, because it was announced and these guys, Admiral James T, are doing the soundtrack, and I assume the people that knew them were like, woo, yeah, Admiral James T. Which, for the record, awesome name of the band. Lifelong Star Trek fan. If you don't know who that is, or if you don't know who Admiral James T is, or what it's referencing, Admiral James T. Kirk is was the captain of the OG USS Enterprise from the original series. And James T. Kirk as well, actually, if you don't care about the original series, he's in the new movies as well, so. I gotta go on a whole tangent about that. People hate the new movies for some reason. Die-hard Trekkies are such a, stubborn breed of, oh, well, that's not good enough. Apparently there was even an outcry when Voyager came out, because, what are you doing? You can't have a woman as captain. I don't like this. Blah, 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 blah. But, it takes time for a Trekkie to sort of absorb a new thing, whatever it may be, I suppose. And they hate the movies, apparently, or the movies are not held in the highest of standing, the newer movies. But at any rate, oh, excuse me, oh, excuse me. But yeah, that's why I was annoyed at getting flagged for it, because the reason I was annoyed is not because, oh, hey, I'm using this music, and I know the Admiral James T owns it, blah, 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 blah. No, I was given the license to use it in a Let's Play by virtue of purchasing the game, and that's not something that comes with every game, necessarily. That was Urban Games did a good job of sort of setting that up, and in fact, they advertised that when Train Fever was coming out. Way back when. But the thing that gets me is the hit was not for the fact that I was using Admiral James T's music. It was another song by a different band that was extremely similar. And I got flagged for that. And I searched them up and found them on SoundCloud and looked them over and went, oh, what? Huh? You're not Admiral James T. You're posers. No, it was just a goof in the algorithm. People rant and rave about the algorithm all day, but, you know, it's not perfect, but, well, here's the thing. People don't like being the subjects, or I guess the victims of copyright law, because they want to be able to look at anything, anytime. I don't know. I have plenty of opinions on it. YouTube as a whole has done some questionable stuff, but it's to keep the site afloat, and most people use YouTube, so it's for, you know, what's for the good of the site is for the good of the users, pretty much. They need to be better at sort of pushing things that they need to push their services a little bit better, I think, because I don't know too many people who have YouTube Red, but I know plenty of people who have like Netflix or Hulu or something. And that would help get away from the ad dependence, and the reason that everything's a problem on YouTube is the ad dependence. You know, the fact that YouTube has to depend on ads, and advertisers are getting picky, and, you know, YouTube sort of has to look out for that. YouTube has to be aware of that. They have to pay attention to that. And this obviously causes problems because because content creators want to be able to use their videos to make money. Whatever. You can get a better rundown than from me, but the point I'm trying to make is YouTube is trying to do what's best for its users, and it ends up being difficult. You know, obviously they're not pushing policies that will get the site ruined, or, you know, that will intentionally ruin the site. No developer does that. You need to think about... You need to not think about malice first. Not get angry. Think about why things are happening. Alright, so I need to keep this straight. We're getting somewhere. We're going somewhere. We're almost at the end of the estuary, which is going to be here, and then I'm going to curve in real hard. I'm thinking of building like a neck or something, you know, something to sort of show that this is a protected cove, and that's why there's this, and that's why there's all this. So, yeah, and I could add a spur to that if I really wanted to. Oh, don't break, please. But let's continue with this comment. This comment is nice and long. I appreciate this comment. Thank you, Railord. 145. I find a 1950s era American 6-track main funny, but I'd like for that to happen. See, just go back in time and visit the Pennsylvania Railroad. They'll show ya. They'll show ya. Let me continue with this in a second. I want to add more bridge. Let me add more bridge, please. 1 second. But yeah, so we are going to have a pretty significant sized main line, and he points out where. But then again, you would need to find a way to warrant it if you want to go proto-lancing as you currently are, absolutely. Perhaps the southern throat of Gilson City, as evidenced by your map, Gilson, Eastern Zion, Scotland, and the tramway connect there, absolutely. And also, ooh, ending without the outro card. Yeah, no, it was getting out of date, and I haven't had the time to fix it, so... I wish this sort of thing was popular with you as it is with Approach Medium. I don't know. Oh, I get it. Approach Medium does similar stuff, and he's more popular. And you're lamenting that. Oh well, boo-hoo. Anyways, so this... Come on, there we go. Also, Approach Medium is a pretty cool name. I have to admit that. So, yes, out of the southern end of Gilson City, we have 3 railroads. Although the tramway, that's more of just a showing that the tramway is going in that direction and not the tramway connects here. The tramway is going to be all over the place. But yes, absolutely, there's going to be some stuff going on there with that, and some stuff going on with some long, or, very wide main lines. though they may not necessarily be right next to one another all the time. Especially one branches off and goes to Tombstone, but the ZNS goes to Tombstone. It doesn't follow the coast as directly. The reason for that is that coast is a lot more rocky than this one. Once we get to the other side of this, I'm going to be much more careful with elevation. And so, let's go. Yeah, see, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a neck. As we call it in New England. I'm not sure what the usage of the term neck for a geographical feature is elsewhere in the world, but like Warwick Neck is a thing that sort of sticks out. And so I'm going to do this. I'm going to just sort of cover all the water enough from here to the edge. Actually, yeah, I'm going to do that, and then I'm actually going to go and delete the water, because we don't need it hiding underneath. Although I can just leave it there, because it would show me if I accidentally made a hole down to sea level. It's not doing anything. Water is not all that intensive in this game, because it doesn't do much. It doesn't have, like, water physics associated with it. And that kind of looks cool as a cove. Let me smooth this out a little bit. Let's do that as well. So why not? Let's lower the radius slightly. Sink the ground down a little bit. I don't like having... Yeah, there we go. That's good. So now we have this, and it's going to sort of go and taper out, and it in fact would probably wrap around to like here. Which means that we'd actually have to send the steamship route outside of it. So that's not good. I need to maintain the water, because I wanted to do that. That means we're going to have a lot of scenery tiles over here. Although it won't really matter, because we can just fill them with trees. Whoops, no. There we go. How big do we want this to be? Boink. Well, see, I have to be able to get around it, and I need to follow the principle of one extra tile. So even still, I'm going to need to have some more tiles over here. And there, and probably there, because I don't ever want to see the edge of a tile. So we'll be filling this in with water in a minute. I need to think about it for a little while. But yeah, see, the reason I brought that up is because I want to put some industries over here. I want to, in fact, put a sand pit and probably some stuff down this way. The issue is that would be a switch on the main line, and you'd have to run wrong side to get to it if you're running a local, which isn't necessarily a problem. But if you're a train coming out of Olive and there's somebody like working down here off the main, that means you have to switch to express to go down this way, and that's not necessarily a good thing, because you can hold up express trains doing that. So the idea was, okay, well, maybe I'll add a third, maybe I'll add a fifth track. The question is, do I want to? Because that might look not good necessarily, and I basically need to find examples of that happening. I need to find examples of a fifth track showing up somewhere where sort of that kind of freight service is present. So let's put some water and flatten this down. I'm going to sort of mark out what I think the edge of this is going to look like, which means like this. It's going to look sort of like a cape. It's going to look sort of like the Cape, like Cape Cod. It comes out to there. It should actually be a little bit thicker. I'm glad I can do this from up here. Makes it easier. Yeah, and so I'll have to play with the end of this a little bit. And if we have to come out to here, that means we need more ocean tiles. And yeah, so we'll work with that some more. We'll continue working on this. We'll do basically just ocean from here for a little while. I'm not sure when I actually want to start putting in the steamship thing. Okay, so... And if I sort of forget about it and don't work on it right away, or, you know, don't start doing it, you guys want it, put a comment about it, because that way I'll remember it. That way I'm obligated to work on it. So, because that's how this works. Sorry about that. Let's just fill this area with water, because I sort of have an idea of what I want it to look like now. So do that. Down to over here. So why not? Let's just fill it in. Alright. Do this. Do this. Fill it in. Let's get ourselves a neck. And then we'll work on the coastline and specificity later. But let's just start with getting some water in and getting some land in and differentiating between the two. All things considered, this is a fairly small feature. I probably should have brought it out more. Because this just encompasses this area. Not like this. But then it would have to come out even farther, so I'm just going to leave this as is. Alright, so ocean, make this watery. Ocean man. But yeah, I need to find examples of that prototype. Just to make sure that did happen. At least in some cases. And, you know, and then I need to justify it in my head. Where, you know, we're like 2/3 of the way to Mason Valley Junction, you know, MVI, or yeah, MVI, Mason Valley Interlocking. And I need to think about, okay, so what is that going to entail? You know, I've thought a little bit about, okay, so we're going to have like a 3 or 4 track yard, maybe a 5 track yard tops. That isn't very large. That's just stuff that's going to Mason Valley and coming from Mason Valley. You know, maybe sort of a yard for the stuff that gets pulled off of here, which, you know, I'm thinking I want a sand pit over here. Not like a quartz sand pit, just a regular sand pit. And that can be brought somewhere. I do want to put a construction company somewhere that takes, like, cement and 2x4s and that kind of stuff. And steel. But we'll see about that. That probably won't be any place necessarily nearby. It probably won't be in Mason Valley, that's for sure. That looks terrible. Turn this up. There. This is a pain. Alright. Let's just sort of smother all this. Alright, actually we did a pretty good job of getting rid of most of it. So there, here. If we can see the edges of the thing, that means it's too high. So this area is... That area is... Yeah. See, you'd think it's hocus pocus, but it's really true. If you can see the edges of it, it's too high. So follow the edges of it. Right, or the edge of the circle. Wow, that actually cleared up pretty quick. Hopefully I didn't make it too deep. I'm just sort of trying to cover all of the spots. Nope. Alright, there. Good. About there. There, down there, and right over there. On this line, down here, right there. Missed a spot here. Alright, now over here. Here. Okay. We're getting somewhere. It still sort of looks like a rifle, but it's getting a little bit more strangely shaped, and it's going to develop sort of a big tumor down here, so it won't look like a rifle anymore. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, I think this is too... Yeah, that looks almost like a skeletal finger. Like, look at it. It almost looks like a dick, but it's not really, because you don't have like a... It doesn't end in the proper location for that. And I think I might, for the sake of it, I might actually add like a pretty deep inlet back here. Oh. We have an edge. There we go, fixed. Now that sort of looks like a flaccid dong. Alright, so let's keep going with the oceanification project. Yeah. I feel like I should have talked more about more about that. So Gilson City is going to be a mess. It really is. It's going to be an absolute cluster of 3 railroads meeting, tons of industries, and, you know, of course, a whole city going on around it. Giant main station. I'm not even sure what what station I'm going to use. In fact, there might be more than one. So, yeah, basically it's going to be chaos, and I'm looking forward to it. But because that's the way Gilson City is, I am sort of needing to look out for... Oh, shucks. This is still built all the way to there, yeah. Because that's the way Gilson City is, I'll still need to look out for... What am I even saying? I don't even know where I was going with that sentence. I need to look out for where this ocean part ends. But this, like, Gilson City is going to have a lot going on, and so the map currently does not at all show sort of what that's going to look like, what it's going to be like. It's going to be immense. It's going to be more railroad than I've probably ever put in one location. And that's, you know, that may not be saying something necessarily, because I haven't done all that much. but I have done quite a bit in the past, and so I'm looking to one-up that, and I'm looking to add things like tram lines, trolley lines, even elevated railroads. I was tossing around the idea of putting subways in, but the idea of that was, well, it would be cool, yeah, but there wouldn't be a lot of payoff to that. It would just be there. It wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't necessarily improve the map or the gameplay without, you know, in a significant fashion. Because it would all be underground. It would be nice functionality, but that'd be it. Alright, let's continue with this. Continue oceanifying. I'm going to oceanify to here, and then I'm going to figure out what I want to do next. Or I'm going to work on the peninsula a little bit more directly. Or the hook, I guess. Sort of like Hull. Again, I should have made it bigger. What I might do, actually, I might leave this as like a strait and add more island over here. So that means I'd have to push this out even farther. I do have to push this out another tile at least, because of my own rules regarding terrain and tracks. And the boat route does count as tracks. So, if we come in here, we go through here, and then through here, I still have to have this. But we've actually brought the tracks pretty far on this one. And we're up to the point where we're going to be ducking inland a lot more. So yeah, there's that. That's a good thing. So let's do that same thing that we just did again. Now that I realized how much ocean I need to put here. And if we can at any point see like off the corner of a map, like if we're down here and we can see that, that means there needs to be a tile here. Obviously we wouldn't be at this corner without there being a tile there, but it's the idea of if I can see an edge, I need to fill in, yeah, like that. Like that. That's not good. If I'm over here, can I see that? I can, actually. So that means we'll need to put a tile there. And in fact, we might as well just fill this in while we're at it. This is going to be a lot of ocean tiles. This is probably something for me to do and just, like, zen out. But I'm doing it right now because it's on my mind. I know you guys probably want more just track building. I'll get back to it. Well, how far are we in the episode? We're an hour and 8 minutes, so... I've done track building. It's not like I haven't done anything but. Alright, so let's do this. Let me check on my hardware real quick. If you can hear that grinding sound, it's because that's my fan. It's not great right now. I'm looking into getting I'll probably be getting a new graphics card, you know, around Thanksgiving. So soon. Alright, let's put that over there. Alright, so, oh, missed a spot. Yeah. Missed another spot. Alright, so I'm going to do this. We're probably going to end up with some, basically, stripes of not deep enough. But that's okay. Let's see. What was this? I don't think there's too much else for me to say there, but yeah, no, again, I'll talk about that more when I get a little closer, unless you guys want to just hear me rant and rave about it. Gilson City is going to do a lot of things, and I'm not really prepared to figure them all out yet. And the tramway is basically to connect it across the strait, which I've talked about. And yeah, I'm excited to work on it. It's just I haven't even tried to foray into planning what the New Shoreham tramway is going to be like in terms of service, because I have no idea what's going to be there, and I haven't even begun to think about the track arrangement. I'll think about it more when we get closer. But at this point, I think I'm going to stay away from Gilson City for a little while because I'm enthused with building to Bellington, and once I'm done with building to Bellington, and I have some, a significant amount of mainline to run, that'll be about 30 miles, then I'll probably build up into the hills instead. Because I'm also excited to work on that section of the BMR where we can have passing sidings and stuff like that. And that's another section where I don't know, I don't know how long it's going to be necessarily. We're going to basically use what we have as a measuring stick. And I'll probably in the future have to build another, or have to draw another map that fills in all the things that I've done since I planned the original map. Oh wow, that worked really well. You know what? I'll put like one tree on this. Although I did want to build, like I said, I wanted to sort of make this a straight and make there a larger thing out this way that runs, even off the map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this up so it can stand on mountains. Thumbs up if you like that song. I had to sing it in choir a dozen times. Honestly, it had to be one of the choir's favorite songs. Alright. Yeah, so I don't know how wide I want the strait to really be, but I do want to do this. I'm going to bring it down here. And so we'll do our best to sort of flatten the edges of this when we're done. I'm just trying to get a feel for the size of it. Didn't really mean to do that. I sort of wanted to do this. Yep. Maybe now it's a pump action. Very rough pump action. Dean, come yell at me. And now I've drawn a giant dick. Alright. Let's get rid of that. Let's just paint over it, I guess. Not really painting. Alright, so... yeah, see, I want to fill this in. What I want to do is I want to flatten this a little bit more, because right now it's almost like a tiny map of a giant island. Like a super condensed version. Something like that. We do still have that ridge that we have to sort of worry about, slash deal with, slash eliminate, because it shouldn't be there at all. And it's going to be like 90% beach, probably. Alright. Like that, like that. So we're going to punch this back. We're going to nudge it back a little bit. And then we're going to pull it out a little bit more, because what I really want to do is narrow the strait, but also shallow the strait. Because the strait right now is too... it's too deep on this side. Oh. Yeah, it's like a hole. Or rather, it gets too deep too quickly is really the problem. Not that it's too deep overall. We do need to flatten it a little bit. But yeah, it needs to have its own sort of semi-interesting terrain going on, or else what's the point? Yeah, see, that looks cool. We've got like a little cliff there. Yeah, ships do have to navigate that strait. That's a tight one. You know, it's funny. It's making me think about, there was a Native American legend regarding Martha's Vineyard, if you know what that is. It's an island off the coast of Cape Cod, off the coast of Massachusetts, that people like to live on. Actually, it was either Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket, one of the two. But it's off the coast. They're both off the coast. But you think about sort of, you know, Native American history dates back a long, long time before, you know, most of us Americans really worry about in terms of our country, because our country's history started in 1776, arguably, you know, 1774. It started a little bit earlier than that, but we wouldn't really consider it our country. It wasn't really our country until 1776. But the country's history, or you know, the continent's history, for most people who really read up on it, started in 1492. And I mean read up on it in a very general sense, like what you get in history class. You know, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, blah blah blah. He came to America, he reported his findings back to Europe, and that started this whole colonial thing. So, that is as far back as most people tend to really care in terms of the Americas. Unless you're looking in Central America and you're looking at the Mayans and the Incans and the Aztecs. Okay, that looks dumb. But we're getting somewhere. So, but, you know, this is, you think about how long Native Americans have been here, and it's pretty staggering in comparison. And so, you end up with these rumors, these legends of basically how Nantucket formed. And the one that popped into my head is the idea that, or, you know, the legend that basically the island formed by somebody kicking a small path through when it was connected to the mainland, and that eventually developed into the large body of water that's between the two that we know today and that the ferry crosses today. And that was really cool to like read about and think about. It's like, oh yeah, you know, they didn't have a way to explain, like, they didn't understand what, I almost said evolution, erosion was. So it was, you know, somebody kicked a little gap in between and it slowly just widened as they drifted apart because it was no longer connected. You know, we know now that's not how it works, but the idea that it was a human being that made the initial strait, you know, whether it be a couple inches wide, because they were that close together at that time. You know, the idea that it was a human being that made the original strait is really cool to me. Just from a sort of geological point of view, it's cool. But yeah, that was that. You know, I'm thinking about this strait here. It's, you know, well, how did this open up? And it probably just opened due to the way that waves work. It just found a hole and punched through it. But, you know, it could have been that it was very close and somebody decided, oh, you know, I'm going to dig a little channel here, and it slowly widened, slowly widened, slowly widened over the course of probably thousands of years. Here's what I'm going to do real quick. Let me massage the terrain. There we go. Come here, terrain. That looks pretty damn cool. Or, you know, it's getting there. I need to get rid of this. I need to do it with a little bit higher sensitivity so it actually does something. Must have missed that spot. Let me finish this area right here. I do have one more comment. But yeah, Railroad, thanks for your comments. I do want to talk more about that. I just don't know where to begin. I do not know where to begin. But it's entirely possible okay, here's what I want you guys to think about and think about for me. And I'm going to come back to it because I wouldn't be building it right now anyways. But there's the, you know, distinct possibility that I'll be building some industries around here, maybe on the little peninsula that I just built. How should they be accessed? keep in mind Mason Valley interlocking is over here. Or, at least over here somewhere. Should they be accessed just off the main line? Because I don't want to build another interlocking there. The next interlocking is MVI. Should they be accessed off the main line with hand throws? Same thing with the dairy farms that I'm going to be putting around here. Or should I put a 5th track in on one side, whichever side has more industry? So, and that would not be connected at the far end. It would only be connected at MVI, at Mason Valley Interlocking. So, I want you guys to think about that. And when we go to concept track arrangement, I'm going to ask, again, probably, oh, that's messy. That was a messy one. And then we can look at what we're going to do there. Because I've sort of shoehorned a couple of things in already. You know what I haven't done? I haven't put in any abandoned bridges and stuff, like I said I was going to. I wanted to do that. I'm not really sure where, though. Presumably we'd be gobbling up all of the old right-of-way when we built a new one. At least for the most part. Except for any particularly difficult section of right-of-way. Which we haven't really encountered one that is particularly difficult and has another way around that I could show that off on. So, I don't know, I need to think about that. Oh, that's right. In order to fix this, what I need to do is not lower the ground, it's actually raise this ground. Fix the Z fighting. That is a straight line. It's much too straight, actually. But that's because I actually need to bring it in more. So let's do this. Let's do that for now. Just to sort of indicate what I'm going to do with that in the future. Alright, last comment. 122. Hey Bombs, I've been wanting you to review my... This is Minecart 11. Hey Bombs, I've been wanting you to review my route for a while now, and I've just realized that I never uploaded it to the DLS. Anyway, if you're interested in reviewing my route, send me a message on Discord at Minecart11 number 2620, or comment on my channel. Thanks, Minecart11. P.S. I also sent you a message over YouTube, but I'm not sure if you will see it, or how the messaging system works. Well, the most foolproof method for getting in contact with me is actually on Skype. I have the same username there as I do on YouTube, which is Bombs321. I don't typically seek out routes to review. Generally, I just say, hey, route review. And if you want me to review your route, you can come to me. I mean, it sounds like you do. So, I don't know. I mean, if you want to leave comments regarding that, then I can do that, but it'll be a little while to the next route review. So if you want to just contact me, otherwise, if you have another username that you've tried to contact me at that you're not familiar with, then let me know. That's a little bit too high of a sensitivity. I don't have a Discord. I'm just on Skype because that's where I sort of set up all production stuff. And I don't want to split myself up, so that's where I am. If you want to, there are other ways to find me, like through these comments. I'm not the best at checking YouTube messages, and yeah, they are kind of finicky. At least in my sort of history with them, it's always been tough to notice. Oh, hey, I have a message. But yeah, no. If you want me to review it, I mean, I would love to review a route. Although it is a little while until I'm reviewing the next one, so you've got plenty of time if you want to get in touch with me. So, yeah. If it's on the DLS, then probably the easiest thing to do would be just tell me what it is in a YouTube comment, and I'll go download it next time. But save that for next time, because... Ooh, excuse me. Save that for next time, because it's going to be a little while, and I guarantee you I will forget. fact of the matter is, I just, I get a lot of people saying I'll review my route when it comes around, and then someone forgets. Either I forget or they forget, and I don't end up with the route until the last minute. So, I generally will put out a call and say, okay, send me your route by Thursday, and then I won't get one. And, send me your route by Wednesday, I usually say. And I won't get one from my regulars, from the people that I normally review routes from. And then I end up rushing something. But point is, if you want me to review your route, get in touch with me on Skype at Bombs321. I will be happy to make conversation with you. Or even on Steam at Trainman1996 on Steam. But I'm less responsive on Steam because I just friend everyone. And typically when I'm on Steam, it's because I'm using it for something. But I digress. Okay, let's... Oh, that's right. This is where I did that. Yeah, that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. If you want me to review your route, that's what you should do. Because I've got... I am not... I don't have the most free time. I don't have as much free time as I would like. So I'm not able to respond to every inquiry from every platform. Especially the ones that are tough to figure out if I have a message on or not. And I only read these comments once a week. So, if when that comes around again, you say, hey, I have a route that I want you to review, and it's on the DLS at, this, I'll go, okay, and immediately start downloading it. That's the easiest thing. Or, if you get me on Skype, or even actually at my email at ellistrain@gmail.com, and say, here is my route. I would get it there. That's another way to send it. Or, a Google Drive link works if it's not on the DLS. Because then I can go onto Google Drive and download it off of there, and there's no, file size limit or anything. I mean, there is. It's limited by the size of your Google Drive, but it's 15 gigs, and if you have a route over 15 gigs, holy cow. With all the dependencies and stuff, I could see it, I guess. Well, I think we know what's going to happen to this route. It's probably going to be up there. So, alright, let's move this. Come on. There. I'm just trying to fly in a straight line. Good God. I'm wiggling all over the place. Whoa! Alright. I'm out of control. But yeah. So, Gilson City. Big city. Huge city. Tremendous. And I'm really looking forward to building it in a way. In a way I'm really not, because it's a big city and it's going to be crazy to build. And it's going to probably take me a very, very long time. You thought Olive took me a while. Gilson City's going to be insane. I think Olive is probably the third largest city on the map, though. Maybe third or fourth. Which places it right in the middle in terms of size. So we'll have 3 that'll take me more time, and then 3 that'll take me less time. The ones that'll take me less time are Summit, which shouldn't surprise anybody, because it's not really anything special, although it is the main yards of the VMR. There's going to be... let's see. What else? Summit, Wombeck is actually probably going to be slightly larger or the same size, but it's going to have a bit of an older feel than Olive. Same thing with, not Tombstone, but Zion. Zion is going to be fairly large. It's going to have the steel mill. It's going to have a lot of stuff going on with it. So we're gonna have to put a lot of time and effort into that, but it's gonna be very industrial. It's probably gonna have a lot of brownstones, tenements, that kind of thing, as opposed to Olive, which is very suburban. So yeah, those 2 are larger. Those are the 3 larger ones. You have Gilson City, Wombeck, and Zion, or Zion. And then you have the smaller ones, which are Summit, Skyline, which is another small mining town. Summit and Skyline are pretty much both that. Wait, why did this go down a little bit? Whatever, we'll figure it out. I'm forgetting. Bellington is the other one. So Bellington and Tombstone. So Zion, Skyline, or no, sorry, yeah, no. Skyline, Summit, Bellington, and Tombstone are the 4 towns that are smaller than Olive. There are also going to be the minor towns on the map, which are going to be like, what are the names? Well, we have. I mean, already we're going to have Mason Valley, which there's one right there. That looks better. You know what? But now it looks off-center, so I have to do that. Alright, let's continue. We're almost there. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. But yeah, we're going to have Mason Valley, which is a small town. We're going to have Cove, or Coxsackie, I guess would be the real name of it. And that's going to be at Coxsackie Cove, which is on the other side of the peninsula. Because there's going to be Cove North and Cove South, so there's going to be these 2 very small towns, basically fishing towns, that are there on the cove. We're also going to have a town. We're probably going to have a little town at Mason Valley Junction, like a very little town. So we're going to have to come up with a name for that. And a couple of other sort of pass-by towns. I'm not sure if I'm going to add station stops there. Well, okay, that's incorrect. I do know where I'm going to be adding station stops. So let me pull it up real quick. One second, once I finish connecting those. Okay, so if I go in here, go over to nope, I don't have that available anymore. Tolbrand into data. Uh-oh, computer's stuck. Oh, I never started on my task manager. What's going on? What's going on? I need to ask my computer what's going on. Oh, we have another like 30 minutes. If I bring up the timetable, particularly for the Gilson Eastern, the intercity timetables, then I can see that there's one intermediate stop between Olive and Bellington. That would be Mason Valley Junction. Yeah. And or whatever else we're going to name it. We could call it like Cooperstown or something. I don't care. But there's going to be that one stop there. Then additionally, we're going to have come on now. There we go. Wait, it's backwards. Okay. So we're gonna have Mason Valley Junction, and then Bellington, and then another intermediate stop somewhere between Bellington and Gilson City, and then the outskirts of Gilson City, which is going to be its own stop. And then there are going to be 2 commuter stops within Gilson City, and then the main terminal. So it's going to be pretty sizable. Things are going to be pretty damn big. And I'm interested to see how it sort of fills out. Like, we know this sort of ends here and here. Except for over here, it spills over a little bit. But I am really interested to see what it ends up looking like, Gilson City when we get a little bit more in there. I need to whittle down the back of this a little bit because I still don't think it looks good. Oops, I'm using the plateau tool. I want to decrease height. Yeah, see, the issue is we have all these, we have, like, the striation where I gave up on putting terrain and then started putting terrain again. And then we have, the sort of lumps where I was working and didn't, or, you know, and was just going back and forth to get everything underwater. Which is why you should pay attention, which is why you need to plan ahead a lot. That's a tip for route building. You do have to plan ahead. Not most people, a lot of people I know, they do like to sort of just build. And that is not a problem. You don't have to necessarily go in with a map and a plan for every tile. And I didn't even do that. I have a map, but it's a very rough map. It's in fact one of the roughest maps I've ever built in terms of what's going on. And so, instead, I just sort of went into this with the mentality of, okay, we're going to build something, we're going to make it look good. We're going to make it real as possible. And I think, to this point, that's worked. But you do have to plan ahead a little bit. In order to make everything look right, in order to make everything look proper, you do have to think about, okay, well, where is this river going to go? Where is this railroad going to go? Where's this road going to go? When you start building it. You don't necessarily have to plan it, 20 weeks in advance, but you do have to figure it out eventually. And doing it while you're building it is probably not the best solution, because then you end up with some ad hoc sort of situations. Then you end up being, oh, there's a bump there. And you end up being unrealistic whether or not you were trying to be. More likely than not, because you just weren't prepared to deal with what you were doing. Grab that. It's 1.03. Do that. Now we have a very circular part, and we have this cliff, which I actually kind of like. The other thing is, yeah, you can plan all you like, don't get married to your ideas. Even though route building is not, in this situation, collaborative, there are situations where things are going to be a little bit different than what you expected. Things might not be possible, or you may run into a situation where some other way to do things is vastly easier. Now, when I say don't get married to your ideas, that's normally said in a context of, if you're working with a bunch of people, then you might have to change some things. And that's, that's not necessarily true on a route because you're doing it by yourself, but the idea is this, this situation, you'll probably end up, route building, you'll probably end up in a situation where stuff happens. Basically, keep an open mind, is what I'm saying. Not necessarily don't get married to your ideas, because you can build whatever you damn want. See, that looks cool. And this is the marshier part, and that's the less marshy part. South of Gilson City, yeah, there's 2 more commuter stops. There's the Gilson South stop, which is the outskirts. There's another intermediate stop. There's the junction where the ZNS splits off to go to Tombstone. And then there's another intermediate stop. And then there's Zion. And then there's the Cove. And you stop east of the Cove and west of the Cove. Actually, trains don't stop east and west of the Cove. The towns there are too small. They may have previously had service, but they do not anymore. There's, I don't know if there's going to be an interstate. There's probably going to be some roads, at least. But that's another one of the things. The Cove is going to be another thing, sort of like the estuary here, that the railroads sort of plowed right through, but the roads avoided. because for the railroads it made the most sense to stick to the straightest path possible, because that's railroading. And a road could climb the hills that otherwise the railroad wouldn't be able to do, which is why the road has to go through, and the road can go around. I put that like that. We are splitting these guys up a little bit, which is weird, but fine. Because I could smoosh them right up next to one another. But I don't really want to do that. I've seen plenty of situations where you have, you know, two separate bridges or whatever, and they're essentially built as different, yeah, I'm going to just do that for now. They're essentially built just as two different bridges, two sets of double track that happen to be next to one another and sharing a spot. Let's do that, and that, and that, and that. Come on, move. Nope, yes, come on. See, when trains think you're trying to move it to a different track, that's when it gets confusing. So turn that around, turn that around. I don't like the Z fighting that's going on here. There's not really an easy way to fix it, but I don't like it. Anyways, so we've got that. We got to here. We got from, like, basically from over here to over here now. We have some of the straightest sections we've built yet, other than that. Actually, no, that's something we built today. So we have the straightest section we built yet, except for maybe that. Or this. But that is a station, so it doesn't count. But we're slowly getting more and more this way, and that's the thing I want to do with this. I need to start pushing this in real hard. Let's move the window a little bit. There we go. So that I can see how much time is left in the video. And I think, so yeah, you have the cove stops, and that's it, and then you go to Wombeck, and then you're off the map. So, nothing really groundbreaking after that. Between Zion and Wombeck, will probably be the longest stretch that a local train will go without stopping. Because local trains do not stop at the cove. No trains stop at the cove except for extras. Which I don't even know what that would be necessarily. So I'm going to follow this line. I want to come into like here. And so we're going to keep on a straight line basically, and then we're going to come out at the coast. And see, this is why sometimes what I'll do is I'll draw a line first. I will draw a physical line on the terrain to see, okay, well, I think the track's going to go here. And sometimes that can be super helpful, and I like doing that. And it's been a little while since I've done that. I didn't really do that on this map yet. But I feel like I should probably do that. So here's what I want to do. I want to go in a straight line from here, so like in this direction. Yeah, to like here. More or less. And I need to add a little bit more because we're going to be building land on top of it. There we go. And then what else? So when I reach here, then I start leveling or evening out again, or at the very least I'm going to do this. Because all this is going to be water. That's another thing. I don't think I'm going to be deleting a tile that I've worked on yet. Because it's been worked on. Like, I think I already pointed out, like, this tile, useless. It's too far away from the track. It's just another tile of hill. And you can't even really see it because it's got this hill in front of it. So I could delete it with pretty much no consequence. You can't see it at all unless you're over here. Yeah, then you can see it. But, you know, do we really need... No, it's too far away. But I worked on it, I'm going to keep it. And I'm going to cover it with trees and call it a day. Because the more ground we have, the better. No matter what, a tile completed is a tile completed, and a tile there is just more scenery for you. And that's always a good thing. See, this is cool. I feel like I should blunt this a little bit, because this is a little bit too rounded. Let's massage the earth back down into the water. Apparently TBA got a kick about me saying how, out of me saying how I massaged the ground, so I can't not think about it now. There we go. We preserved it by keeping that tip there. There's also a little island that's going to be right here. That's actually too big. There we go. Little islands are everywhere. It's incredible. You look in a bay and there's just islands scattered all over the place. So yeah, this would be the most protected area, and that's why it became an estuary. That's why it was allowed to become an estuary by nature. And this, I don't know how far this goes. I still don't like it because it's sort of cigar-shaped, that it implies that it just extends this way. But it doesn't. It would probably taper off over here somewhere. Actually, that's the thing. I should probably make it real fat over here. Just to show that it tapers. I'm spending way too much time on something that's not even anywhere near the railroad. But I'm liking my work. I'm liking my workflow right now. So I'm gonna stick with it for now. If you guys complain about me doing too much terrain, then I'll ease back and I'll do something else. You can say in a comment, hey, can you please work on blah? I'll do it. I want it. That's the use of the comments. Yeah, we've got like some ridges on this. Let's flatten things a little bit, because it's a little bit too hilly for my liking for this area. Like, the thing is, even, New England islands, you look at them, they seem like they're going to be flat as a pancake, but in reality, they're not. They're just like, they're hilly as all hell. But compared to anywhere else, they're super flat. Alright, so let's height up this. See, no, that just makes it look even fatter. Turn that down, and just trim it a little bit. Actually, you know what? If I make this even more drastic, if I do this, that might get the point across that this thing tapers. But now we have this, and that's not like that. I'm going to try and up all of this right here. Alright, let's narrow the strait with some island here. Okay, now it's looking like it's just a fatter thing that got punched through there and in multiple places. That's better. That's what I'm liking. I'm liking it. Also, I'm extending that when, frankly, it should not exist. Well, it exists now. Remember the don't get married to your ideas thing I said? And to think, in real life, every single one of these islands would have a name. That's the absurd part. That's the real crazy thing. Here's the other thing. I need to flatten this. In fact, I need to sort of raise the ground underneath here very, very subtly so that we get it visible on the map. So here's what I'll do. I'll just raise it, and then I'll lower it again. But just barely. Nah, it didn't come out like I wanted to. Damn it. I wanted to come out looking like this. That is super duper shallow. Yeah, you know what though? That looks good. Because it looks like it has this general curve that goes this way and would come to a point maybe somewhere over here. You guys seeing that? Because I am. I like it. I will have to do these tiles at a later date. But we've got 10 minutes left. I don't know what I want to do for 10 minutes. You know what we'll do for 10 minutes? We'll go for a joyride. I have been working in route. Oh, wrong button. Route layer. I never do this with good reason. But today is a special day. Today 3713 came out. I'm even going to cut the music for this because... Yep, that's loud. Close this on the other tab. It always starts me on this boxcar for some godforsaken reason. No, I want realistic mode. I don't wimp out. I'll start at the station. Actually... Yeah, because if I run through town, it'll lag all to hell. I can't... My computer can't handle that yet. I will probably be moving Tane over to my new hard drive when I install that. Here's the station. Thank goodness for this. Let's do this. Put this here. Oh, whoops. Turn it around. We're going that way. Ignore the fact that we're on 3717, which is Old North Bridge, not the Constitution, but that's what it is. I'm going to do this real quick because I'm no good at this, and I don't need to flood the engine this time. That's my favorite thing to do. Do these coaches have interiors? No. Damn. Oh man, that would have made my day. Does the baggage car have an interior? I wouldn't think so. Yeah. Unfortunately, the engine does not have its own custom interior, because Lara doesn't do those. It's probably going to wobble all over the place because the track quality is not set properly. But we'll see about that. We also have to keep an eye on that gradient. And we'll see how long it is from the station to the end of the track currently. The thing I like is I can just open her up. You know, this engine does not have a problem with adhesion, which is strange considering. If you ever looked at it on logo base, it has problems with adhesion. It's way too big. It's way too heavy. It has like a 5 point something for a factor of adhesion. It's nuts. There's no reason it should be that high. So we'll see what kind of speed we can get this up to. I need to be a little bit more careful. I'm an engineer. Yeah, it's going to say that we're over speed, and also the engine's going to shake because of that. But speed limit on this should be 60, and I'll cross us over. These crossovers are too tight, by the way. I'll cross us over, and it should be, or, you know, it would be 79, hypothetically. And so the unfortunate thing is you can't quite see that bridge in the distance. If I turned it up, you'd be able to see it, but, you know. You can't see one from the other because my radar distance is too short. Yeah, see, these crossovers are way too tight, and I need to fix that. I need to draw them out a lot farther. But, oh well. That's an easy fix. We've got tons of straight track in this direction. I'll just have to slide everything down. Uh-oh. Game. Okay. That's strange. B&M engine under dartboards. What a sight. It's a balance you gotta play with that. With the cutoff. This is probably my favorite Laro model of all time now. I mean, I love Blount, don't get me wrong, but this engine is so beautiful, and it takes me by storm every time. I might use, like, I don't know if I like this or the second version better. I feel like the red really makes it pop, and sort of makes it unique where otherwise it wouldn't necessarily be that way. Also, I did extend this road a little bit. Just a little bit, though, because I needed to get it over the tracks. Oh, that's not good. This gradient will have to be amended then, as well. I never noticed that one before. I might leave that one. It's not as bad. And I'm not sure how necessarily I would fix that. Although I could bring this up and then bring those guys up a little bit as well. Also, it is like a roller coaster. It goes down and then up and then down and then up. Because this terrain is so uneven. Like I was talking about, I need to make things flatter. Because this is not flat enough. It's not as flat as it should be. Now, these are elevation changes that should be occurring over much greater distances. And the road does weird things too, because I built this and I was like, oh, I need to get it over, so I did that. Whatever. It looks weird, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. Excuse me, coming under the bridge. That bridge does fit, because Baby Ruth, I checked it. Yeah, there's another spot right there. Yeah, with all the ups and downs, it really screws with my ability to get speed out of this engine. Come on, you can do it. Is that the pop-off just going nuts? Yep. Oh, we're going 72 now. That's good. Here's a new bridge. That looks cool. And we're going uphill now. This is the hill that I adjusted at the beginning of the episode. Because up here it was 1.61 when you crested the hill. Hopefully it doesn't get that bad. Oh, it does get up to 1.3 still. I've got to work on that. I really do. That's not the worst thing in the world. None of the major gradients are that high, so... The red coaches really pop. Although I'm not convinced that there was a point in the life of any coach on the Boston and Maine where it was this shiny. Or, you know, this red. So we're going to head out on the bridges now. So that subtle tracks sort of bending together, I've got to move those two over, because they're not quite subtle enough. Look at this, though. I might use that clip as an intro for Under Construction, because I don't have one yet. If you haven't noticed. Yeah, see, we're waggling a little bit. That looks so good, though. Hold on, I'm gonna do a, I'm gonna set myself up to do like a run by or something. Let's see, over here. In the incredibly scenic section. If you want more of this, go watch the promo for 3713, because it's awesome. Oh, there it comes. I think I picked up speed. That Doppler shift, though. Oh, we're about to run out of track, though. I think it's one more bridge and then we're out of track. But we got pretty damn far. Yeah, we're at 7 miles, almost 8 miles. Let's see, how much farther do we have? Yeah, one more bridge, I think. Yeah, this is it. And so we're 8 miles, we're like halfway to... we're halfway to Mason Valley. And 15 miles is a rough estimate anyways. I know I sort of downplayed it, so... Oh, and there's the end of the track. Alright, well I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Train Man out.